$300K my mom's house, my car, Leona car, my car, 2 boats. That's just 2 boats. That is $635K, yeah.
The issue I have is with Travis Hunter. What in God's name would make you think that that's a good thing to tell the world?
He didn't just win college football's biggest trophy, he broke the mold doing it on both sides of the ball. Then he went number 2 in the draft, signed for life-changing money, and walked straight into a storm that had nothing to do with playbooks. This is the story of how Travis Hunter went from Heisman history to headline chaos, and why the most dangerous hit he's facing might be the one he never sees coming. Before the noise, there was the greatness. A two-way force who turned Saturdays into a highlight reel. Hunter took home the 2024 Heisman and made the sport feel old school and brand new at the same time. Pros said the NFL would try to force him into one position. He smiled and did both. When the league called in April, Jacksonville traded up, grabbed him 2nd overall, and put a pen in his hand for a 4-year deal north of $46 million with a massive bonus up front. That's not just a contract, that's a crown. Proof that the league believes he can bend the rules of specialization. But crowning moments create shadows, and in those shadows, the whispers tend to grow. Next came the wedding, the gifts, and a microscope with his name engraved on it. And that's where the story starts to twist. The wedding looked like a magazine cover come to life, black and white theme, a packed room, and a moment built to trend. The surprise? A jet black BRABUS G-Wagon rolled out like a movie finale. It wasn't just a gift, it was a statement. We made it. Days later came the real flex, a spread of land and a glassy pool, a tennis court, space for an entourage, and rooms that echo when no one's home. On timelines, it read like happily ever after. In real life, it read like invoices. Because fairy tales don't come with budgets. Mansions need maintenance, landscaping, security, and taxes that hit like clockwork. Exotic cars are happy until the first service, the first insurance call, the first set of tires that cost more than most vacations. And once you've set the bar that high, every anniversary, every birthday, every random Tuesday feels like it needs another spectacle just to keep the mood afloat. The purchase price is loud, the monthly burn is louder. To fans, this all looked like a young star finally breathing after years of grind.
Believe that about Liana 1 second. And I don't want to hear anything about anything that she may have done years ago. She's a young lady. Come on, y'all. You understand what I'm saying? She ain't some seasoned grown woman who's experienced and living her life and, manipulating things. And she's a young lady. Mistakes happen.
To the people who track careers, it looked like a second job, keeping up with the image while trying to build the resume. There's nothing wrong with celebration. The problem is escalation. When the highlight becomes the baseline, the pressure stops being fun and starts being normal. That's when you find out if the life you built is really sustainable. And sustainability isn't just about money. It's boundaries, pace, and protection, especially the kind you put in place before the party starts. Which is why the next part matters more than any price tag. The one thing missing that could have turned all this luxury into something safer. Then came the part the internet loves, the no prenup chatter. You didn't need a law degree to see why that set timelines on fire. A high-stakes marriage with a brand new fortune is like driving a supercar without a seatbelt. You might be fine, but the margin for error is tiny. A prenup isn't a romance killer, it's a blueprint. It spells out what's separate, what's shared, and what happens if life swerves. Most people think it's all about who gets what. It's bigger than that. It can define income from endorsements, protect pre-existing assets, limit debt exposure, and set limits on support so no one is surprised later. It can add guardrails on privacy, spending, even social media. Because in the influencer era, a post can be as valuable as a paycheck. With a deal this large, a prenup might have been the boring document that turned fireworks into a manageable glow. Skipping it isn't a crime, it's a choice. Plenty of couples do just fine without one. But once the decision went public, it stopped being paperwork and became a symbol of trust to some, of risk to others. A celebrity attorney even used the moment to preach to rookies, offering contracts like caution tape. The narrative hardened fast, love versus logistics. In reality, grown relationships need both. What made this heavier was timing. The wedding came right as the contract ink dried, the gifts went viral, and the commentary got loud. When the money, the romance, and the spotlight stack up at the same time, people start adding their own math.
You're going to the National Football League. That's what you're about to do. You're about to get paid. In my eyes, this should be your most selfish time. You need to think about the people that you're involving in your life.
That's how a private decision turns into a public referendum. And right when that debate hit a boil, a 5-second clip poured gasoline on it. It took a few seconds of video, an awkward cutaway, a delayed clap, a nudge from a legend, and suddenly the internet ran a microscopic audit on a single expression. Was it indifference? Nerves? Overwhelm? You can't read an entire relationship from 5 seconds, but online, 5 seconds last forever. Frame-by-frame breakdowns turned body language into a verdict. And comment sections did what they do best: decide first, confirm later. The clip didn't prove anything concrete. What it proved was appetite. How hungry the crowd is for a story that feels bigger than football. The reaction hit hard enough that the couple went quiet. Travis pulled the plug on Instagram. She stopped feeding the timeline. That wasn't a confession, it was triage. When your name trends for the wrong reasons, the only leverage you have is oxygen control. Stop talking, starve the fire, let tomorrow's topic take your place. But silence is a gamble. It cools the outrage, and it also opens a vacuum. Brands watch sentiment charts. Fans fill empty space with their own theories. And the algorithms keep nudging the clip back into circulation like a rerun with higher stakes. In that kind of spotlight, every ordinary moment gets graded. A smile looks strategic, a frown looks like proof. Even a day off looks like damage control. That's the tax on modern fame. Your quietest second can get louder than your loudest win. And once a freeze frame becomes a narrative, the next thing waiting on the other side is inevitable. Not facts, but talk. Which brings us to the part of the story that spreads fastest, even when nothing's confirmed. This is where we tap the brakes. There's been buzz clips recycled from old accounts, screenshots without context, and late-night threads trying to stitch a past out of fragments. Rumors suggest she worked certain nightlife gigs. Posts claim there were DMs, parties, and timelines that overlap.
Name was called. I instantly was gonna, if you watch the video, you can see me but his mom didn't get up. So I was like, oh, maybe I don't get up, maybe I just sit here with her. So I sat there and then y'all said Coach Prime had to tell me to get up. No, he didn't. He said, go get him. Go get your man. And once Travis stood up, but he didn't have to do that because I was gonna do that anyways. As soon as I seen Travis get up, then I thought it was appropriate to stand up, greet him, congratulate him.
It's been said that clips predate the relationship. Others say they don't. None of it is confirmed by credible reporting. What's real is the pattern. Unverified snippets get framed as receipts, then shared until repetition feels like proof. Here's the actual risk. Even unproven noise carries a price. Brands don't wait for verdicts, they track sentiment. A spike in negative chatter can cool a conversation faster than any press release can warm it up. That doesn't mean deals vanished. It means the room gets colder. And when the room gets colder, advisors whisper the same play. Speak carefully, post less, ride out the wave. Travis chose a different lane. Stand up and stand next to her. He pushed back, told people to relax, and cracked that if she's hunting for gold, then so is he. It wasn't a legal statement. It was a line meant for a timeline. To fans, it read as loyalty. To critics, it read as denial. To the algorithm, it read as fuel. Meanwhile, the internet did what it always does. Zoom in, loop the same 5 seconds, and tell a 500-page story. Reports claim new angles keep surfacing. In reality, it's often the same clip with a different caption. That's how speculation masquerades as momentum. And the longer the couple stays quiet, the louder the theories pretend to be facts. So we keep the framing honest. Unverified claims stay unverified. What's confirmed is the pressure cooker around them. Attention, expectation, and a feed that never sleeps. But pressure rarely travels alone, and the next voices to jump in weren't faceless commenters. They were people with rings, resumes, and microphones. Once the clip loops enough times, the megaphones come out. Former players drop cautionary threads about protecting the bag. Media voices turn a relationship into a case study. Friends of friends heard things and post them like weather reports. Some of it is wisdom dressed in tough love. Some of it is clout chasing in a team jacket. Either way, the message landing on his doorstep is the same. Slow down, lock in, safeguard the future. Advice always sounds simple from the outside.
YouTuber here exposed the fact that Travis Hunter's girlfriend worked at a strip club, but in what capacity? Was she a stripper or did she have other roles?
Focus on ball, get a plan, set boundaries. Inside the storm, those lines get harder. You're juggling treatment installs, film, and a calendar stuffed with obligations that didn't exist 6 months ago. Every choice has an audience now. Even silence reads like a statement. Even a repost looks like a stance. Meanwhile, the couple keeps choosing each other in public. That's not naivety, it's a decision. Loyalty can steady a house or lock the doors when you need airflow. The risk isn't just money, it's momentum. Let the timeline live rent-free and you start playing from behind on sleep, study, and recovery. That's how little distractions become big ones. And the team is watching, not to judge, but to predict. Will the noise fade when the lights go up on Sunday? Can the routine survive the glare? In the league, availability and execution turn storms into footnotes. Miss that window and narratives harden fast. The takes won't stop. But football has a clock and it's almost time. Which brings us to where it actually stands right now and what matters most between the headlines and the huddle. Franchises don't invest in fairy tales, they invest in first downs. Inside the building, the noise gets stripped into metrics. GPS speed, practice grades, recovery scores, meeting notes. The plan is boring by design. Shrink distractions, expand routine. Staff build a week around him like scaffolding. Lift times, film blocks, treatment windows, a nutrition plan that turns late-night cravings into early morning fuel. The message is ruthless and simple. Your best argument is Sunday. The dual-role magic gets managed, not mythologized. Packages are tailored, snap counts monitored, bursts saved for moments that flip a game. Sports science keeps a close eye on soft tissue risk. Coaches keep a closer eye on attention span. It's not just whether he can do everything, it's whether he can do the right thing at the right time, every time. That's how rookies with star wattage become pros with staying power. Social media becomes a light switch, not a lifestyle. Off when it steals sleep, on when it serves the mission.
They expected her to do.
I don't have to defend I know I don't have to defend myself with no clowns. I'm not defending myself. I'm defending my girl. Cause she's not gonna get on here and talk. She just hurt. You know, she upstairs. She been crying all day. You know, cause people trying to attack her character. Like, they don't know her. They ain't never talked to her before. So I'm gonna protect my girl.
Sponsors respect boundaries that protect production. Teammates do too. Because nothing quiets a timeline faster than a red zone catch on 3rd and goal or a fourth quarter pass breakup that kills a drive. Win the rep and the narrative shrinks to fit the scoreboard. The real risk isn't his ceiling, it's erosion. Tiny leaks from late nights, phone wars, and endless explanations. Let enough of those stack up and preparation gets thin around the edges. Keep them out and the game slows down. The windows look bigger and the league starts to feel like college again. Just faster, louder, richer. So where does it land? Right now it's a tightrope with a net he builds himself. Sleep, study, silence when needed, and a circle that tells him what he needs to hear, not what he wants. If he nails that, the story turns. If he doesn't, the story hardens. Which leads to the last piece, the bigger equation that outlasts any headline. So what do you call this? Love, scandal, or a very loud lesson? Maybe it's all three. Fame and finance have gravity. They pull at every choice you make, what you post, who you trust, when you indulge, when you say no. A 6-figure gift looks sweet on camera. The 7th time you have to outdo it, it starts to feel like a bill. A mansion looks like home until the upkeep becomes a second schedule. A rumor feels harmless until it taxes your sleep. And a relationship feels unbreakable until strangers convince you to measure it with engagement counts instead of conversations. The real game isn't just Sundays, it's the compound interest of habits, sleep, study, silence when needed, and a circle that's small enough to be honest. It's money with rules, boring budgets that outlast viral moments, advisors who say not yet, and contracts that protect both hearts and assets. It's brand versus ball, and understanding that the scoreboard can quiet the feed only if the foundation is steady.
Pray for my man Travis Hunter. There's rumors that his current girl is pregnant, but you know that's only rumors. It came out a month ago. People saying that their wedding, she seemed like she had a baby bump.
Without that foundation, every headline steals a little focus, every purchase asks for a sequel, and every clip invites a trial by comment. He has the tools to be a decade-long problem for coordinators. Unlocking all of it comes down to choices most fans will never see. Who gets his ear, what gets his time, which fires he refuses to feed. Maybe that means fewer perfect pictures and more perfect Tuesdays. Maybe it's learning that privacy is a skill, not a luxury. Maybe it's building guardrails now so the next big moment doesn't need damage control later. Because in the end, the spotlight doesn't change you, it amplifies you. If he amplifies discipline, the story turns. If he amplifies impulse, the story writes itself. And that sets up the final question, the one that lingers after the headlines fade. He has the talent to turn crowds into static and the contract to prove it. But the real test isn't a 40 time or a vertical. It's whether he can keep the parts of his life that matter most from turning into content. The story so far has been a clash of extremes. Unreal rise, big love gestures, no seatbelt on the finances, a freeze frame that wouldn't die, and a chorus of advice loud enough to drown out your own voice. That's the cost of being rare. The question is whether he pays it in moments or in years. Greatness isn't only about how much you can carry, it's about what you're willing to drop. Noise, impulse, the need to perform a lifestyle, those are heavier than any weight room. If he chooses routine over reaction, boundaries over buzz, the field will do the talking and the feed will fall in line. If he doesn't, the headlines will keep writing the script he should be writing himself. So where does this go? Week 1 will say a little. The next 12 months will say a lot. In the end, it comes down to 3 currencies every star has to manage: the game, the brand, and the peace to keep both steady. Which one would you protect first? And what would you risk to protect it?